Sikhs are concerned, I thought it was a misplaced example. Only time I remember the Sikhs who did away with their turbans to save their lives was in the anti-Sikh riots in 1984 in the wake of Indira Gandhi's assassination. What has happened as a result of his US visit, that politics has played out in the United States of America.
Hello and welcome to the Indian Express. I'm Charulata Biswas and I'm back with another video with our contributing editor Neja Chaudhary. And this time around, we will be talking about leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi, who was on a 3-day visit to the United States. And while he was there, he interacted with the Indian diaspora and spoke to the students over there. And there was a lot of controversial things that he said, and it stirred trouble back home. And Nija, my first question to you is, Rahul Gandhi, he went to the United States for the first time after becoming leader of the opposition. He said a lot of things about reservation, scrapping of reservation. He talked about the Sikh community while he was interacting with a Sikh during his interaction with the Indian diaspora, where he said that, India should be a place where a Sikh can wear a turban and a kada. And this kind of rattled the Bharatiya Janata Party. In fact, Union Home Minister Amit Shah, he also tweeted, and he said, I'll just read it out. He said that I want to tell Rahul Gandhi that as long as BJP is there, neither can anyone abolish quota, nor can anyone mess with nation security. And by speaking about abolishing quota, Rahul Gandhi once again brought Congress's anti-reservation face to the forefront. What do you make of this visit and the controversy around what Rahul Gandhi said?
Look, Rahul Gandhi has become like equal to controversy. Suppose he'd made very sanitized statements, he would then have also courted controversy. So that's now today a given.
Yeah.
And it was his first visit as LOP abroad and to the United States of America. So he was being watched very carefully back home in India. Every word, people were looking at what he was saying. And also in the United States and the Western world. What does he stand for? Now, if you look at the overall, before I answer your question, if you look at the overall thrust of what he was saying, he was, of course, more confident than the Rahul earlier, more articulate than the Rahul earlier. And overall, the alternative that he wanted to put across is of a belief in an inclusive society, because he talked about space for every religion, caste, language, and so on. And love in politics, which, by the way, I noticed it drew him applause in the different audiences, and so on. So, and the India is a multiple ideas, not one idea, and so on. Now, where he quoted controversy is 2-3 things. And one, of course, is China, that there's no unemployment in China, which the BJP latched onto and attacked him. The second is the Sikh statement.
Yeah.
And I think that I was looking at it and I noted it down. The fight is about whether a Sikh is going to be allowed to wear his turban in India or a kada in India. Or he as a Sikh is going to be able to go to the Gurdwara. That's what the fight is all about. And this is not just for him, but for all religions. Now, as far as the Sikhs are concerned, I thought it was a misplaced example. Why Rahul chose on this? If he'd chosen on, Muslims very recently being lynched or attacked in a train, one of the senior Muslims, for carrying suspicious, cow meat, whether it was cow or not, is not known, but he was attacked. Suppose he'd given that kind of an example, understandable. Sikhs are not being prevented from wearing turbans or kada. I don't remember the Sikhs. Only time I remember the Sikhs who did away with their turbans to save their lives was in the anti-Sikh riots in 1984 in the wake of Indira Gandhi's assassination. And these riots were being, now enough evidence has come by congressmen also. So it is in that regime, Congress regime, that this happened. But that apart, it's a long time gone. today, I don't think the Sikhs are, yes, but certain Muslims do feel insecure and believe it. And every minority, whichever the minority, must have the right to worship. That's okay. But the example I felt was misplaced, and naturally, Hardeep Puri and other Sikhs have attacked him for it. Now, when you come to the reservation part, again, I went over it, what he said. What he said is that Congress would think of scrapping reservation when India is a fair place, that there is fairness for everybody is equal.
Right.
This is not the case now. So it's not as if he's making, to be fair to him. Now he has taken up the cause of the caste census. He goes hammer and tongs about it. And many people suspect if a caste census is done and you find that the number of OBCs, for instance, are more than in the 1931 census, which puts their number at 52. Suppose they turn out to be 65, hypothetically speaking, which happened in Bihar. That's the result the Bihar caste census recently revealed. Would they not ask for a greater share in the reservation in jobs, in educational institutions, even in private institutions? So many people feel that power must, and Rahul has said this again and again, that 90% of the population, SC, ST, OBC, minorities don't have their due, whether it's in the services or private jobs or businesses and so on, and they must get their due. It's a fair point. Democracy has to devolve, power has to devolve to the peripheries of India. But that he's, I would say he would be making, by innuendo, a greater case for reservation, given his backing of the caste census, then scrapping it. Now, so why the BJP is latched on to this, that he's actually making a case for scrapping reservations? I don't understand if you go over what he has actually said. Now, if they take one half of the sentence and say, Congress would think of scrapping reservation. If you stop there, instead of saying when India is a fair place, that would be a different thing. So what has happened as a result of his US visit, that politics has played out in the United States of America. Indian politics is getting played out in those fora also, where I find it is a missed opportunity by Rahul. Many people would have looked at Rahul to present a blueprint. Whatever he said in the US, he said in India, attacking RSS, attacking BJP, and so on. That's not new. He's repeating it. What would have been new? This is my and the Congress Party's blueprint for India if we come to power. And that is not in general terms of, more love in politics. Of course, that is important, more inclusiveness. It is important. Where do we take the economy? How are we going to create more jobs? What are the challenges that face us? What am I going to do to improve relationship with the neighbors? What is my relationship going to be with China, with the United States of America, with Europe? Those are questions that are hanging out there. How is he going to be different from what the BJP is putting out? He's talked about manufacturing, but so is the BJP talking about manufacturing. He's talked about unemployment. Yes, the need for greater employment. BJP is also in rhetoric talking about it. So I and many others would be interested in, give us your blueprint. And that would have, the US visit was a great place to have unpacked that vision. So from that point of view, I think it's a missed opportunity.
So you do say that it's a missed opportunity. And of course, his comments about, say, reservation, it seemed like, he was taking his election campaign further ahead. He also mentioned, like you said, he attacked the RSS and the BJP, and he talked about how the fear for Modi has subsided. It's no more there because of the Lok Sabha election results. What do you think about this statement that Rahul Gandhi has made? Do you think he was trying to settle some political score abroad, or is there something more to it? How do you see this?
This is a difficult one. When you go abroad, you criticize your government back.
Sorry, I just want to add one more question to it. Because, you know, considering that Prime Minister Modi is the Prime Minister of our country, and attacking him abroad would definitely bring a lot of flack, not just from political leaders, but also the perception that Rahul Gandhi has built about his leadership role, you know. So does this really work for Rahul Gandhi by attacking Narendra Modi abroad?
As I said, you know that if you go abroad and you're speaking to university students who are studying India or are from India, or you're speaking to the Indian diaspora, and they ask you questions, should you just say, I'm not speaking about it? This is not a subject I'm going to talk about. Or does he say, look, I've already spoken on all this back home, please refer to it? But yes, I would say, you know, there are ways and ways of criticizing. It's how you criticize, how you rubbish. And yeah, I would say in a university setting, you cannot say I'm not going to answer questions honestly, because they are doing research, they want to know. That's why you've gone and accepted their invitation, or you don't accept their invitation and go there. But other gatherings, whether you rubbish your government back at home, and as I say, there are ways of doing criticizing. Look, this is what they have done. We disagree with it, but we are going to take it forward this way. There are ways of doing it. So I think, yeah, it could be done much more measured way, even if criticism has to be done. Rahul Gandhi is inimitably Rahul Gandhi, and often puts his foot into it.
Yeah,
And
yeah. And the whole conversation about him being immature, you know, the attacks, you know, they come back, they resurface. And BJP, they sort of find a fresh breeding ground to attack Rahul Gandhi. So this is,
yeah, like I would fault him on some things. You know, I would expect the leader of the opposition not to speak certain language. You know, you can make that point in different language. Yes, I would say that. But equally, the BJP could also, you know, write it. ठीक है, it's okay, you know, move on. So what we are, and yes, we will also criticize him and then move on.
right,
So
right.
I think, but I would say what would be of the greatest interest is how does the Washington DC establishment view Rahul Gandhi as LOP? You know, who are the people who are going to meet him? What is the traction there? What is the importance they give to him? That would be of great interest to watch. That information has not yet come out. And if if Rahul Gandhi was more conscious that, you know, of the controversies this might unleash back at home, maybe he would have given it a miss.
Right.
You know, and not maybe if you meet people in a bigger gathering, you meet people. Of course, you won't say, I'm not going to meet you because your country is unfriendly to me, or I'm not having dialogue with your country till you deal with terrorism. That issue which upsets us and agitates us. Yes, you can make that point to that person also. But given the sensitivities and knowing that he's going to be attacked, give it a miss. How does it matter?
All right.
And I would say this side also, okay, write it. ये सब तो होता है democracy में.
Yeah, the freedom to speak, meet, and do what you
Disagree and
Yeah,
disagree
disagree.
very vigorously.
Yes. Yeah.
And India will be a very dull democracy अगर ये सब नहीं होगा.
So anyway, we are definitely looking at the upcoming Haryana and J&K elections, and that is going to be really exciting after Rahul Gandhi comes back. So we will see what unfolds. I'm sure he will go on another yatra, like a short yatra or a political campaign. We'll definitely see him in road shows in Haryana and J&K. Mallikarjun Kharge is already there in J&K. So it's going to be pretty exciting. And Neeja and I will bring you more such conversations to understand what's happening in politics, in Indian politics. So stay tuned. And thank you, Neeja, for coming for this conversation. And thank you, viewers, for watching us. If you like this video, then don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, The Indian Express. Thank you so much for watching.